to you this seems like a very narrow issue, but to an African bishop like Peter Akinola of Nigeria, this isn't just about homosexuality. This is the wholesale imposition of American secularized values on other parts of the world, and he's not having it.
Well, we have often been accused of a kind of ecclesiastical colonialism. But let's be clear here. No one is trying to force the church in Nigeria or Uganda or anywhere else to do what the American church has done. No one is asking the Archbishop of Nigeria to raise up gay and lesbian people and affirm them, or to make them priests, or to make them bishops. We are only saying that this is right in our context. We are asking for the right to be the church as we feel the Spirit calls us to be the church in America. We have always been a federation, a confederation of autonomous churches, 38 provinces that have always been free to pursue the gospel in their own context, with their own style, their own way. I mean, it's part of the brilliance of Anglicanism and what I think our gift is to the ecumenical world, that we have always been this large, expansive umbrella under which a variety of interpretations can exist. It's our great gift to the world that we agree on the essentials, and while we disagree on the non-essentials, we hold together.
You call this a non-essential, but to many people listening to this, homosexuality goes to the very core of what it means to be a family, and the church's teaching on the family. And if this isn't an essential, they're saying, I don't know what is.
I would invite you into my home to see my family. My partner, my 2 daughters, my son-in-law, and my 2 granddaughters. Conservative people are very frightened to come into my home. And I used to think it was because they thought they might see dirty pictures. What they're really frightened of is seeing how wholesome, how faithful, how very like the family that they so revere our home is. And that's why you're seeing change in the world, because more and more people know more and more gay and lesbian families that look just like their families, who hold the same values, who have Christ at the very center of their family life. It just happens to be that there are 2 dads or 2 moms.
Archbishop Robin Eames is regarded as the troubleshooter of Anglicanism. He's the great fixer.
He's done a wonderful job.
He's worked on the ordination of women, and Ron Williams asked him to work on this challenging issue.
Yes.
It's not just an issue, but it's a challenging issue for Anglicanism. And the Windsor Report was his team's best effort to find a middle road. Not an agreeable middle road for you?
I think the Windsor Report was quite wonderful. I think it was an amazing step forward in this process where we are trying to deal with this issue. And Archbishop Eames himself has been very careful to say this is part of a process. Unfortunately, the more conservative voices in the Anglican Communion have seen this as an end in itself, not as one step in an ongoing process, but rather the be-all and end-all of where we are on this issue.
But if this report had been written before 2003, you wouldn't be sitting there as a bishop.
Not necessarily.
You wouldn't.
There would have been no need for the Windsor Report, of course, if
Well, there were gay people before the Windsor Report, but you would not be a bishop today if the Windsor Report had been written before 2003.
I don't think we know that. That is to say, the Windsor Report does not have the authority of Scripture. It does not have the authority of any body within the Anglican Communion that has the authority over any of its constituent provinces. But
it does tell provinces not to step ahead of the Anglican pack, as it were.
That's true, but let's also remember that there are the sections of that same Windsor report that say people in one province should not interfere in the life of the other, and yet we have conservatives crossing diocesan and provincial boundaries to interfere in the dioceses and provinces of other churches. So we're trying to find our way in this, aren't we? I believe we're all trying to be faithful to what we understand to be the will of God. The question before us is, can we hold on to one another while we figure this out? We're going to disagree about this for a very long time. We really are. It's my own belief that we are going to all wind up in heaven together. And we're all going to get along there. In the meantime, let's try to hold on to one another as God would have us do.
In the meantime, how are you doing at the minute?
In the meantime, I'm doing really well. I feel like the most blessed human being on earth. Life in my diocese is so exciting, and our church is growing. People are coming to us. We're receiving enormous numbers of people in from other churches, especially the Roman Catholic Church, who want to raise their children in an atmosphere that is inclusive and welcoming.
I asked you how you were doing at the minute. You told me about your diocese.
I'm doing really well. I'm happy. I think, as you probably know, I went into treatment for alcoholism 10 months ago, and I must say that my participation in 12-step groups has been so wonderfully educational for me. I don't know of any place where street people and college professors and electricians and elementary school teachers all gather in the same room to talk about real things going on in their lives.
How much were you drinking?
Oh, I don't feel comfortable going into the details of that, but I was drinking more than was good for me, and I knew, because this is a progressive disease, that if I didn't do something about it, it would get out of hand, and it would begin to harm the people that I love, and it would undermine this important work that I'm doing, and so I did something about it.
It's a complicated story, Gene Robinson's story, isn't it? It's a human story.
It is a human story. I often say I'm neither the angel that one side makes me out to be, nor the devil that the other side makes me out to be. And I think perhaps one of the most difficult struggles for me in this last 3 years is to just hold on to the real Gene Robinson. But as best as I can discern it, God is really active in my life, and I hope to be open to God's leading until I draw my last breath.
Gene Robinson, thanks for talking to me.
You're very welcome.